So there was a time where I wasn't going to church, but I knew I should. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't sleep at night. And I knew I needed to read my Bible. And I had not read my Bible in years and hadn't really ever read my Bible. And I still wasn't going to church at this time. And then I got a sinus infection. And I had a friend that kept telling me to go to get this checked because I had the sinus infection. So I finally went in and they felt my neck, when they feel your lymph nodes. And I had this lump in my neck. And she said, "How long has your thyroid been swollen?" And I thought, what's a thyroid? I had no idea. So fast track, I need an ultrasound, I need a biopsy. I have a giant growth in my neck that I didn't know existed. Went in, found out it wasn't a fat roll, it was my swollen thyroid, and I had a tumor that had been growing for 2 years. So during this time, I started having my first ever panic attacks, and I was scared of dying and leaving my kids. And I remember I know Jesus. Like, I remembered all of a sudden, and I remember I didn't have to be afraid because I knew him. And I remember in the middle of this panic and this fear, punching the wall and just saying no to fear and remembering that I knew Jesus. And then I started reading, he's already been talking to me. I'm reading my Bible again. This is interesting that it all just kind of started happening at the same time. And so then all of a sudden I had this peace. So my mom gets a hold of me and says, "There's a woman that wants to come and pray for me from Prosser." And I thought, but I feel fine. Why would someone, yeah, sure, she can come and pray for me. I thought, well, if someone wants to drive all the way from Prosser to pray with me, God must have something to say I don't know about. And then she's like, "Well, are you going to church?" And I said, "No. I'm kind of just this roller coaster my whole life of like, I'm kind of close to the Lord, I'm not, I'm kind of close. And it's like, I don't mean it." And she said, "Well, why don't you just mean it this time?" And I thought, so she has me say this prayer, and I did it in total, like, no faith and just kind of committing myself to the Lord again. And I'm like, yeah, right, I'm just going to stay in this cycle. But God took that prayer and he just he did transform my life completely. He doesn't just talk through his word and it jumps out, but I could hear his voice in small ways. And he shows me pictures now. And it's so often now that I have to remember, there was a time that this didn't happen, that this didn't exist in my life. And I was trying to pinpoint, like, when did this kind of start? And I remember I was sitting in this corner and I was praying and I started crying and I asked the Lord, I wanted something, but I didn't want to tell him because I felt like it was kind of wrong to ask. And I just prayed and asked that I was crying and I'm like, I'm finally going to tell him this one thing that I really want. And I said, I want to be able to pray for people and they would feel peace. Then my whole life changed again with that prayer. And he gave me visions and just this incredible depth to peace. That's like, it's freedom. It's not just like, I feel calm now. Like, I thought it was peace. Like, I just feel calm now. That's what I was praying for. And God's like, you don't even know what I can do with that. And it changed my life. I've watched people change now in prayer. And I didn't even really understand what I wanted. And he gave me so much more than I could even ask.